Hello pioneers, are you sick of this dreaded sound of a blown power fuse telling you your factory is too power hungry and your power systems are inadequate? Without enough stable power, your factory grinds to a halt, often leading to time-consuming troubleshooting. This guide will show you how to build efficient, reliable power systems from early game all the way to the end game, ensuring your production stays smooth and uninterrupted for all your factory building pleasure. The power UI in Satisfactory might look complex, but it's actually quite straightforward once you break it down. When you're inspecting any power pole or generator, you'll see a graph with 4 lines. The grey lines show your power grid's current production and capacity, while the blue lines represent the maximum consumption if all your machines are running simultaneously. The orange line shows the actual consumption, which is usually lower since not all your machines run constantly. To manage power effectively, simply ensure that the grey line stays above the blue line. If the blue line approaches the grey, just add more power production. There's no need for complex setups like priority switches, separated grids, or battery banks. Power systems in Satisfactory begin during Tier 0 with Hub Upgrade 2, which introduces the biomass burner. This generator consumes manually collected biomass, such as leaves and wood, to produce 30 megawatts of power. Since automation isn't possible for biomass burners, you'll need to supply them manually. Hub Upgrade 5 adds a second biomass burner to the hub, doubling your power capacity at this stage. After completing Tier 0 onboarding and unlocking Hub Upgrade 6, you can build your own biomass burners, which can now be semi-automated. To optimize this, prioritize unlocking Tier 2 obstacle clearing, which grants you access to solid biofuel and the chainsaw. The chainsaw allows you to clear entire areas of trees, making biomass farming fast and efficient. Solid biofuel is significantly more efficient than leaves, wood, or regular biomass, maximizing the output of your biomass burners. To start with, just set up 2 storage containers, one will be for wood and one will be for leaves. Next, you'll want to feed these into 2 constructors. Just line them up and hook in the belts. Set one of them up to make biomass from leaves. Set the other one up to make biomass from wood. Next, you'll want to set up a merger and just feed both inputs in. You'll need a 3rd constructor lined up to that merger. Hook in the belt and set this one to make solid biofuel. On either side of this constructor that's making your biofuel, you just want to make your biomass burners. Just line them up. This one constructor making solid biofuel can support up to 15 biomass burners. In this example, we're just doing 8. Once you've got your biomass burners on either side, just add your splitters. Make sure the output is facing the right direction. And make sure they line up with the inputs of the biomass burners. Once your splitters are in, all you have to do is link them up with belts. Now we just have to run power to this whole thing. Once you've got power to the whole thing, all you have to do is pick a biomass burner, put in some solid biofuel, and that will kick off the entire setup with power. Then you simply need to add your leaves and add your wood to the correct storage boxes. They will go in and feed these constructors, which will turn it into biomass. The biomass will then all merge together and feed into this constructor, which will turn it into solid biofuel. The solid biofuel will then come out and distribute across this manifold and feed all your biomass burners. You can very easily expand this setup to 15 biomass burners and get a total of 450 megawatts of power. And that should be way more than enough power for you to progress through tiers 1 and 2 and finish the space elevator project and unlock tier 3, where you will find your next source of power, coal power. The coal power milestone will give you the coal power generator, water extractors, and pipelines for fluid logistics. Coal generators need a steady supply of both coal and water, so finding a suitable site is pretty essential. Coal nodes are often pretty far from your starting area, but if you're in the grassy fields, this location over here is pretty ideal. It has 4 coal nodes and a nice little lake, which provides a nice flat area for you to build a coal power plant. Coal power plants require 2 inputs, water and coal. Each generator consumes 15 coal per minute and 45 water per minute. With a Mark II belt, which can carry 120 coal per minute, you can support up to 8 coal generators. Water, however, is a little bit more tricky. The generator needs 45 cubic meters of water, But a single water extractor can provide 120 cubic meters of water. This is just barely not enough to support 3 generators. So to optimize, clock one water extractor down to 75%. That will make it produce 90 cubic meters of water, perfect for supporting 2 generators. For our example setup, we're going to be laying some foundation on the lake. We want to go up 1 wall level to build the coal generators, leaving this subfloor for pipes. So just lay down another level of foundation directly above the foundation you just laid. From this center line, you just want to go out 4 tiles either side to fit the coal plants. Next, we just want to put the coal generators on each side. When you're placing it on the other side, make sure that the coal input aligns so that one belt can be split and feed into both. We'll be doing our example with just 4 coal generators, but you can extend this to however many you like. Once your generator's in, just put in some conveyor lifts to raise the splitters. To align the splitters, just put one in the middle and put another couple on top, making sure that the coal input comes from the right direction. Then just make sure you put in your belts. This central line over here is where the coal will be coming in. To bring the pipes into the subfloor, you can either use floor holes, or if you don't have floor holes yet, you can just remove this middle section. First, you want to bring the pipes down. You can press R to change it to horizontal to vertical. Do the same thing with the other generators. Once your pipes are in the subfloor, just connect 2 of them together, as each water extractor will supply 2 coal generators. Then you just want to add a pipe junction down the middle. You'll want to extend out your subfloor a little bit. You can bring your pipe out for alignment. Then you can place your water extractor on the lake, and if you hold control, it should align with the pipe that you just pulled out. Then you can just connect the pipe to the water extractor. Don't forget to underclock it to 75% to get your target 90 cubic meters of water. And then you just want to do the same thing on the other side. Then you should have your 1 water extractor that's supplying these 2 coal generators, and you should have another water extractor over there supplying these 2. The coal belt will come down the middle and feed into all your coal generators, and a single Mark II belt should be able to feed 8 coal generators, and you can continue this pattern on. Here's what the completed build looks like from my Let's Play. Let's go through it real quick. We've got the coal belt coming in, and then it's being split down the middle into coal generators on the left and right. All the pipes are going underneath the floor. I've used a little catwalk in the middle so you can walk through the center. But the pipes are joined up in sets of 2 like I showed before, and they're being piped through the subfloor, joined to a water extractor which is supplying water enough for 2 coal generators. This coal setup should very comfortably power you through tier 3 and tier 4. And once you've unlocked Logistics Mark III, where you get Mark III conveyor belts capable of carrying 270 resources per minute, as well as Advanced Steel Production, which gives you the Miner Mark II, which is twice as powerful as the Miner Mark I, you should be able to double up your coal setup very easily. All you should need to do is upgrade your miner to a Mark II, and you can either overclock it to get to your 270 per minute, or you can just add more miners until you get to 270 per minute. Upgrade all your belts to Mark III that supply the coal. Then, using the same pattern we showed before with a pair of generators and the water extractor, you should be able to add up to 10 more generators to your existing coal setup. I've only added 8, but if you add 10, you should get a total of 1350 megawatts of power. That should be more than enough for you to complete off tier 3 and 4 and unlock tier 5. It's worth noting that the coal power generator can actually support different fuel types, such as petroleum coke and compacted coal. But using the basic coal should be more than sufficient to carry you to the next power system, so there's no need to complicate things. When you hit tier 5, you're going to get access to your next power system, which is petroleum power, which will unlock the fuel power generator. This milestone does take plastic and rubber to unlock, so I'll assume you've already unlocked oil processing and started producing a little bit of plastic and rubber and have the oil extractor to extract crude oil. I'll assume you've already located crude oil. It's likely pretty far from your base. And I'll assume you've either sent some power over via power towers or via the train to power this whole setup. Be prepared with some extra power on your grid, as you're going to need a significant amount to start the refineries producing the fuel for the generator. The limiting factor for this build is going to be your pipes. I'll assume you're still at Mark 1 pipes, which can only carry 300 cubic meters of fluid. You want to find a nice flat area near wherever your oil is, with plenty of room for expansion for this power system, as it'll pretty much take you to the end game. To start with, you want an oil extractor for the oil. Next, you'll want to set up a row of refineries. Now, if you look at the maths, this oil extractor, if you overclock it, can produce up to 300 crude oil per minute, which will saturate a full Mark 1 pipe. Your fuel is made in a refinery. Looking at the recipe for basic fuel, it takes in 60 crude oil per minute and outputs 40 fuel and 30 polymer resin. So doing the maths, one Mark 1 pipeline should be able to support 5 refineries making fuel. You'll want to run a pipeline from your oil extractor along all these refineries. The way I like to do this is using the stackable pipeline supports. You can just line them up anywhere. Then you can run a pipe down the middle. Then I like to use junctions to split them into the refineries. You should be able to hold control to get the alignment pretty straight. And then you can just connect from the junctions into the refineries. On the output side, we can do a similar thing. We just need a single line in the middle that will carry the fuel. Place all your junctions. Then just connect the pipes. Don't forget that your fuel recipe will also output polymer resin, and if you don't deal with it, it will back up and prevent more fuel production. The easiest way to get rid of polymer resin is just by shoving it all into an awesome sink. I like to lift it out with conveyors. We'll merge all of them out this way, belt them all together. Then just build yourself an awesome sink anywhere and just sink the materials. There are recipes to deal with this polymer resin, such as you can make it into residual plastic, or you can turn it into things like synthetic fabric. But either way, you want to make sure that any excess resin is being sent to an awesome sink, so your fuel production never stops and is completely stable. So these 5 refineries put together should consume a fully saturated Mark 1 belt of crude oil, and it will produce 200 fuel per minute. To keep things simple, just know that each refinery produces 40 fuel per minute, and each fuel power generator will only consume 20 fuel per minute. Therefore, one of these refineries can support up to 2 generators. Now, we connected all of their outputs to a central fuel line. So I like to build my generators again back to back. So I'm going to run this central fuel line somewhere down the middle here, and then I'm going to build my generators back to back like this. Here's what that might look like. I'm just going to build 4 generators, but just know these 5 refineries can support up to 10. Once your generators are in and all their inputs are aligned, you just need to run again a fuel line. I'm again using stackable conveyor poles to run a central line down the middle. Then we just use junctions, and they should be very easy to align to the fuel generators. And then you just need to pipeline them in. Make sure you connect your fuel lines. And that's pretty much it. Here there's 4, but you should be able to continue this pattern until you have all 10 generators. Here's what that looks like in practice from my Let's Play. I'm using the oil sources down here on the east side of the map. I'm using the lake as a building area because it's nice and flat. Here's my 5 refineries that are producing oil. So the crude oil is coming in down this pipe, being fed into these 5 refineries. They are producing fuel and polymer resin. My polymer resin is coming out into this awesome sink to ensure that the fuel production never stops. All the fuel is coming out of these refineries and going down this central pipe. I've had to use a few extra pumps because my pipe is quite long as I ran out of space to build here. But that central pipe is running across to the fuel generator area where it's being split into 10 fuel generators. In total, these 10 fuel generators should be producing around 2,500 megawatts of power. Those initial 10 generators should give you enough power to progress you through Tier 5 as well as Tier 6, especially getting you to Tier 6 Pipeline Engineering Mark II, where you'll unlock the Mark II pipeline that can now carry 600 cubic meters of fluid, double the amount of Pipeline Mark I. Once you have your Mark II pipes, you can very easily double up your fuel generators. You just need to produce your 600 cubic meters of oil. You can either merge many oil extractors or just overclock one of them to produce 600 cubic meters of crude oil per minute. You need to upgrade all your pipelines to Mark II. Then you just need to add in another 5 refineries producing fuel. Then you just need to add 10 more fuel generators that will consume all that excess fuel and provide you a total of 5,000 megawatts of power. That should very easily allow you to complete off all the remainder of Tier 5 and 6 and build up your factory so you can complete project assembly, unlocking Tier 7 and 8. Your final endgame source of power is nuclear power located in Tier 8. But the fuel generators we just set up might not have enough power to get you to nuclear right away. Of course, you can just double up the fuel generator system we just discussed, but if you're looking for some variety, there are a few other options available to you. In your MAM, if you can go to the Caterium tech tree and progress all the way to the end, you can get the geothermal generator. Then you just want to locate a geyser on your map. Here's what a geyser looks like, and to set up a geothermal plant, you just need to place it on top of the geyser. Then all you need to do is link it into your power grid and they will immediately start generating power. However, a geothermal power plant's power generation is variable and depends on the quality of the geyser. You can see in this case, it generates between 100 and 300 megawatts of power and it fluctuates back and forth. If you set up enough of these geothermal generators, you can assume that you're getting about the average amount of power since they'll all fluctuate at different rates. But due to their fluctuating output, I'm not a big fan of relying on them for stability or consistency, but the trade-off is that they are extremely easy to set up. If you put up enough of these, you can reliably get about 1,000 megawatts of power. A more robust power solution can be located in the sulfur tree. If you go down the right-hand side of your sulfur tree, you will eventually unlock turbo fuel. It's a much more efficient source of fuel than regular fuel. To make turbo fuel on top of your regular crude oil, you're also going to need coal and sulfur. In a fuel power generator, turbo fuel burns much more efficiently than regular fuel, with a burn rate of 7.5 cubic meters per minute as opposed to the 20 cubic meters per minute of fuel. Let's quickly go through the numbers. I'm going to be pretty liberal with the rounding here because turbo fuel numbers aren't that neat. If you want to consume a full Mark II pipeline of crude oil, you can have 10 refineries producing 400 fuel per minute. Your standard turbo fuel recipe will consume 22.5 fuel per minute, so that 400 fuel will be enough to sustain about 17 refineries. Those 17 refineries producing 18.75 turbo fuel per minute will be enough to supply 314 turbo fuel per minute in total. That's roughly enough to power about 41 generators, which can provide around 10,000 megawatts of power, more than enough to sustain your factory through the late game. To support 17 turbo fuel refineries, you're going to need 255 compacted coal. That's just going to be around 10 assemblers, or 10.2 to be precise. And you will need an input of 255 coal and 255 sulfur to do that. But that shouldn't be a problem for you at this point in the game. I never built to this scale in my Let's Play. In practice, I only built 8 refineries, which was enough to sustain 16 new generators for turbo fuel. And that was enough to give me another 4,000 megawatts of power, and it provided me more than enough to push through to nuclear power and continue my progress. It's also worth mentioning that your fuel generators can accept other more advanced types of fuel like rocket fuel and ionized fuel that have even more efficient burn rates. However, I personally found these additional fuel types unnecessary for my progression, as right after these turbo fuel generators, I set up my nuclear power. Your nuclear power is unlocked in Tier 8. It's quite a complex system that requires dealing with radioactive materials like uranium. To deal with them safely, you're going to need things like hazmat suits and the iodine-infused filters. But essentially, you're going to be producing these uranium fuel rods, which will be consumed in a nuclear power plant. It's going to produce a uranium waste byproduct that you need to deal with. To deal with the uranium waste, you're going to need to unlock this particle enrichment technology in Tier 8, where you'll be able to turn the uranium into plutonium. The plutonium fuel rods can be used in nuclear power plants to burn for more power. The entire process is very intricate, and it requires a mini city's worth of infrastructure, as well as nearly every raw resource in the game. However, if you set this up correctly, a small nuclear reactor setup like I have here can generate up to 30 to 40,000 megawatts of power, more than enough to finish the game. But we're going to cover this entire production chain in a separate detailed video. One last power system to cover is the Alien Power Augmenter. You can find this technology in the Alien Technology tree on the right hand side. You will need some summer sloop to unlock this side of the tree. But once you've done summer sloop analysis and gone down this right hand side of the tree, you should be able to make this power augmenter. To set up the power augmenter, all you have to do is build it and then connect power to it into your main grid. It's a very simple system that simply boosts your total power output by 10%, so whatever you were producing plus 10%. It does require 10 summer sloop to build, so you can build as many of these according to your needs. Eventually, you will be able to input an item into here that will increase this percentage, but you probably don't have the power to set up the infrastructure to build those right now. We will cover that in more detail at the end of the nuclear power video. All the power systems covered in this video should be extremely stable and carry you all the way to the end of Tier 7 and 8, allowing you to unlock all of these milestones and start building nuclear power. If you found this helpful, consider liking and subscribing to support my channel. And if you have any questions or feedback, feel free to leave them in the comment section. And if you're looking for some more content, you can check out my Let's Play series where I implement all of these concepts. Thanks for watching.